A man's got to know that he's the fucking man. As a man, you have to have, whether it's from you or from some higher authority, you have to have fucking delusional confidence. That is the essence of a man. I think this is one thing that is really being lost today, is that men are getting too, quote unquote, realistic. Listen, man, fuck being realistic. You got to know, as a man, that you have everything it takes to drive a woman crazy. And I don't mean every woman, and I don't mean every fucking time. But you have to know that there is magic in you, and that magic will come out. The problem with that magic is that it doesn't come out the way that you think, or the times that you want, or every time. Let me give you an example. So I had this girl, and this is a great example, you guys. So please listen to this. This example just tells you so much. So I had this girl. Chick was named Yucardi. She was super hot. Fucking this girl was so pretty. It was unbelievable. Just naturally beautiful. Like no makeup. She was like a hair commercial, a hand commercial, a foot commercial, an ass commercial, a waist commercial. I mean, she was just everything you looked at. Her eyes, her teeth. It was perfect. It was like unbelievable. When she shook her head sometimes, I swear, it looked like one of those L'Oreal commercials, where the hair just goes perfectly. It was like down to her ass, but was just silky all the way. And then she had the huge smile too, right? And the big eyes, right? It was just like, whoa, I would look at her sometimes and just think, that's amazing. Like she'd wake up tired, having jet lag or whatever, and then no makeup and, got back from the airport, and I would look at her face in the sunlight, and it was just like, whoa, Jesus Christ, that is beauty. That is fucking beauty. And anyway, so Yucardi, she was kind of a great combination because she was twisted. She was absolutely twisted. She told me why. I don't know if I should tell that story, but anyway, she was twisted, and she was very kinky and into anything. She was into anything. And that was great because it was a great combo of her perfect beauty with this totally twisted fucking mind. And I mean it, like this girl was twisted. And in a good way, So anyway, Yucardi, we were down in Kagoshima, right? Down in South, there's like 4 main islands. We were on the South Island. We wake up and there's this huge volcano out on the island out there. Beautiful. In Kagoshima City, right? So anyway, we're down there, and we were there for several days. It was coming up on New Year's Eve, and she was from like another part of Kyushu. She'd come to see me, and we just fucked all the time. We just fuck. And it was kind of like, I don't know if it was the new location. I don't know if it was like me having come down. I was like on a winter trip because I had, vacation. So I just went down. I just go traveling for vacation and ended up down in South Japan. And I ended up in Okinawa. I actually took the boat from Kagoshima. But anyway, I was down there, and it was something on fire. Well, both of us were she was on fire especially. And she just wanted to fuck. We were just fucking, just fucking. She was one of the few, when a girl's so beautiful, like a doll, that you don't feel sexually attracted to her because you don't want to break her, or there's something about her that it's beautiful, but it's not hot. This girl wasn't like that. She was my dirty slut at the same time as she was an absolutely fucking angel face, right? And body. It was a perfect combo. Looking back, it was a perfect combo. Very rare, at least for me, how it hit me, right? I'm just telling you how it hit me. And I think her beauty would stand the test of time. But as far as her dirtiness, like fit with mine, right? So we were down there and everything was great. We were fucking, and it was the morning, and we had to check out of the hotel, and there was like, I don't know, a few minutes left. We'd already fucked in the morning, right? So we're tired. I'm tired. I'm beat. And I had another girl coming down from Tokyo to meet me that night. So it was New Year's Eve. It was 31st. And this other girl was coming. But the problem with this other girl was she was really average. She was like kind of dumpy, She was like, I don't know. She was nothing special. She was not a pretty face. She probably had an extra, I don't know how many pounds, but I mean, by American standards, she was skinny, but to me, she was totally dumpy and just not, she didn't have her personality. She had nothing. This girl, she was kind of cynical and she was in her 30s and it was just depressing, right? But she was, it's always good to have, some girls around. At the time I had a bunch of girls and it didn't really matter that much. A few extras, like whatever, they come over, they fuck you, they leave. It's fine. So anyway, but I miscalculated on this trip because I didn't realize Eucardi was going to be so on fire. So it was like 10 minutes until checkout. And then Eucardi comes up to me and she wants to fuck again. And I'm like, I don't know. I think it was an expensive hotel or something. I can't remember. It must have been. So anyway, I'm like, no, you got checkout. She's like, you care about that? And I'm like, oh, okay, I don't care. So then we started getting down. And the cleaning ladies came up. Cleaning ladies like opened the door and were fucking, right? And they started laughing, right? Well, anyway, we were fucking so radically that the Japanese cleaning ladies are quite funny, actually. Japanese cleaning ladies are pretty hilarious, actually. These old ladies, I've had a lot of experience with them. They run into you a lot, like in hotels and stuff. They're in love hotels. They work in love hotels. Japanese cleaning ladies are very wise because they know so much about people. They see, married couples coming in with other people. They know a lot. And they're very cool, actually. So anyway, they saw that we were fucking like wild dogs. And they thought it was funny and it was checkout time. So they opened the door and they said, checkout time. And then they saw we were obviously busy. And they said, well, they said in Japanese, you can have a few minutes. So they walked away, right? And then, but they left the door open, right? So all the cleaning ladies, you could hear them laughing down the hallway. So that just encouraged Eucardi. So she was really going to town now. So I was just banging her. But at the same time, I was using the last bit of energy I had. She had drained me. This girl had drained me. And here it was the second time in the morning, and we were really going crazy. Like I was really pounding her. I was giving it to her, man. I was giving her the business, I was putting in work, and it was on fire. And I'm like, fuck, I don't know how I'm going to fuck this other girl tonight. So anyway, I kept going. It just exploded. It fucked her. It was amazing, right? So anyway, we left and everybody's laughing at the hotel. It was all fine. We checked out. She goes back home. Now, I'm kind of dreading this other one coming because she's not pretty and she's not fun and she's not sexy and she's not positive and she's not funny and she's not like super intelligent. So he's like, so I was totally regretting that I had asked her to come down because she was actually flying all the way from Tokyo. So I'm like, okay, so she's coming. So anyway, she comes and I just was so depressed when I started taking off her clothes because in comparison to what I had in the morning, I felt like she should like make me some chicken soup and, like say, be a nurse basically, give me some like some repair, you did a good job, you're the man, like sleep tight, kind of like Jesus Christ Superstar, Mary and Jesus, right? And anyway, so she wanted the bone and she wanted the bone good. She'd come all the way down there. She was on the rampage. And I was looking at her flab and I'm like, oh God. So anyway, I half fucked her, right? It was really depressing. Like for me, it was quite rare actually, because it was really a half-ass fuck. Like, my dick wasn't fully hard. I was just half fucking her. It was totally depressing for me. And I was just thinking, you shouldn't have to do this after all that work. You shouldn't even have to go through this the motions of this bullshit. So anyway, it was totally depressing. And she knew it too. And I was depressed. And I went to sleep, and in the morning, I remember I was walking. I took a walk in the morning. She was sleeping. I took a walk. And I found this tractor. So it was January 1st. And there was a tractor, and it was running in a rice field. So I figured maybe the farmer must have gotten drunk and left it running. And so there was nobody awake, and there was no houses around. And so I got into the tractor, and I drove it. And I learned how to drive a Japanese rice farming tractor. It was pretty cool. I learned how to use the mechanisms, get the thing to go up and down, to dig, and how to go forward and backwards. It was really cool, actually. So anyway, I drove it till it ran out of diesel, and just left it in the field there. And I just kept walking. I went back, and I was just totally, I don't know, I was kind of glad. Actually, I was glad I took a walk. I was glad that we didn't have to fuck in the morning, because I was gone. She was all showered when I came back. And we went down to the Tsunoburo. Tsunoburo is like a bath. It's a bath of sand. It's a special thing in Kagoshima. And what it is there's a volcano in it. And so because of the heat, instead of hot water, you get hot sand. So they bury you in this hot sand, and you take a bath in hot sand, essentially, in public. You're wearing your bathing suit, like on the beach. And you pay, and then you go take a bath. You take a shower, And so anyway, I was doing it with her, and it was kind of weird. I thought it was kind of claustrophobic, actually. It's like they bury you in the sand that's hot. It wasn't sexy. Anyway, and she started flirting with this guy next to me. The guy was on vacation, and she was pissed off because I didn't fuck her good. And I obviously wasn't interested in her. So anyway, she got this guy's number, and I don't remember what happened. I think I left her, and I knew she was going to call him and go fuck him. And it just makes me think, like, this was a very interesting day. This was all in like basically one 24-hour period, right? So imagine this. People say there's a Tyrone, there's a Chad. Yeah, maybe there is, but there isn't. Because every man is the same. Every man has these raw emotions. Every man cannot fulfill every woman every time. Every man knows that he's limited. Every man. He's limited how much he can give. And that he's not always on. Even in the same time period, right? And it was for me looking back, it was a real roller coaster, because that sex in the morning, I'm not kidding. That was good sex. Like, that was some of the hottest fucking most animal sex you could ever have. I mean, it was just red line, man. It was, all the way. And then the night with the other girl was the opposite. And the next day when she got, picked up by this other guy, I felt pretty depressed, actually. I was like, man, I felt bad. And like, when I called the other one, the hot one, she was like, of course, she was on fire. And it was weird because I think the downer affected me more at the time than the hot sex did. Now, looking back, I can see it more with a more balanced view. And I know that a man could only perform at that level a few times in his whole life, And I'm very proud. And that was awesome. And what was I doing hanging out with that loser? Like, really, what was I doing wasting my time with her? Like, she was no good in every way, not even as a friend. And so I say to you, you think that every guy, you probably think that you and other guys are different. I got to say that every man is kind of the same. And I used to say this, like, the Chads and the Tyrones are never going to tell you this, because they're going to say, oh, I'm different. Because on the outside, they look different. But they're not different. I think the main difference between Chad, Tyrone, and you is almost a delusional belief in themselves. You got to believe that you can be that guy. You got to believe that this will happen for you in your life, because sex is a very important part of life. Whether it's on vacation, whether it's, whether it's cheating, whether even, now this is not my thing, but whether it's paid, it doesn't really matter. A man needs to experience sexuality. I believe it's very important. It's very important for a man's confidence. And this is depicted in, you can see this in movies and art. If you look at the musical Oklahoma, there's a scene in there, and I'll put a link below, Kansas City. And the guy goes to Kansas City, and I'll let you watch the song. But he is enlightened. Now, he didn't have sex, but for this period of time, this would be, if you look at his face, if you look at his confidence, you can see what he experienced was the same as what I'm talking about. It was a boost of his confidence. And it was like he knew what was going on. He was the man. And you can see the girls, they respond. And the guys, they respond. Right? So when I say you need to experience sex, I'm not saying you need to be anybody else. You need to be me. You need to be Tyrone. There's no one you need to be. You want to experience sexuality. You want to know what you do not know. Okay, whether that's, how to touch somebody, how to groove with somebody, how to roll with somebody, how to let that kind of vibe with somebody. Because that's really what it is. You're vibing with somebody. You're not doing something to somebody. Sometimes you have to warm them up to get them to vibe. That's true. And it can happen at any moment. Vibing can suddenly happen and suddenly end. But that experience of sexuality, of confidence, of knowledge of good and evil, basically, right? It's that knowledge of the tree they were trying to talk about in the book of Genesis. There was a sense, it was a Kansas City moment when they knew the carnal, they knew the sensual. And that's always been something that people are afraid of. And I really implore you a couple things. Don't be like these guys who turn their back on the carnal. You are a physical being. You need that confidence. Not that it's going to happen every time. Just like me. Look at me. I could be totally confident the same day, and I could be utterly destroyed. And I mean it, both of them. I was destroyed when she got his number. I was. Because she didn't do it in front of me. I came out of the bath and I saw her getting his number. Right? So you need to experience life. And part of life is where you fit in the role of sensuality, of sexuality, of reproduction. There's something in you. It's a necessary, needed. And when you look at men who give up on this, there's something they're missing. They're missing something. And you can see it if you have it. And it doesn't take much. You don't need to be like a serial person or date or get married. You don't need that. Look at the Kansas City. That guy got it in that period, very Victorian type of age. He got it from going to a Burley Q show. You need to have that. I believe this is a very important thing. Now, whether this means taking a vacation to a country where it's very easy for you, where the girls are very open to you. There's a lot of countries like that. Cambodia would be a good one, where you go to a bar and women are gonna approach you. And, these are not, it's very complicated in countries like that. They're not prostitutes. They're just regular girls come up to you. And Now, of course, they're girls with no money, right? And you know that, it's obvious. So whatever it is that you need to do, if you can do it at college, if you can do it, I think the key thing is that sexuality, I mean, there's two parts of a man. There's two parts of any human. What am I saying? And that is the two driving forces is survival, number one, and reproduction, number two. And I think part of reproduction is this knowledge of what they were trying to describe in the Genesis book. And there's something in that grinding experience that you need as a man. Just like I had the ups and downs. And you will too. I'm not saying it's ups. I'm saying that you're going to go through the cycle that a man goes through in the quest for reproduction, essentially. Not that you're going to reproduce, but in the quest, in that vein, in that experience, you're going to go through emotions and gain knowledge and confidence. And it doesn't take much. I mean, in the old days, you had men who were virgins until they were married. And then they had, like, let's say, a few kids with their wife. And then that was it. That was all they got. You know, there was nothing else. But look at those guys. Think about these guys. They had a lot less sex than we have today. You know, there was no Tinder. There was no hookups. There was no colleges. These people were basically living in the farm, not getting any sex, very restrictive atmosphere, and they were having one girl, but that was enough. That was enough for them. And if you look at their autobiographies, if you look at their lives, you'll know instinctively that they got what I'm talking about. They got enough of the knowledge to give them the confidence they needed and to finish off, to complete that part of their life and personality and life experience. You need to know that you can't ignore key parts of your very basic being and not pay a huge price. It's okay to make mistakes. Making mistakes is fucking fine. Everybody makes mistakes. I'm not saying don't make mistakes. I'm saying you might make mistakes. You might hate me after this later and regret it. But as you pass through time and you look at other men who do not venture into that risky zone at all, and you will know that you're glad that you know. There's something in you where it's like, kind of like, I guess you face the dragon, but the dragon is not the woman. The dragon is a demon inside yourself, that you're not good enough. You know, that you don't count, that no one cares about you, that it doesn't matter. It does matter. And you are the fucking man. And you have it in you. It's instinctively, it's built in you. It's built in you. That's why you survived evolution, because all your relatives had it. They passed it on. And the ones who didn't are not fucking here. You, by definition, even if you never found it before, it's inside you. It was passed on. One last thing I'll say, if you need something to kind of get you to make that first move, just think this. Somebody that you respect, could be me, could be anybody, is giving you the permission to go and experience it. And that you have it. I'm telling you. And you just say, hey, Ronin told me I had it. I'm going to go get it. Just that's enough. Sometimes just someone telling you, hey, go do it, And then you just do it, That happened to me when I was playing baseball. Somebody told me, you can do it. I just, bam, did it, right? It was like, and I still did it. It was me, right? But he told me, you can do this. I'm like, okay, I was kind of like, I don't know, And then I was like, oh shit, he's watching. And he thinks I can, and whack, I did it. Right? So it's in you. So if you want somebody to tell you that it's in you and you can go, and whatever that means for you, remember the Kansas City video. It doesn't mean anything in particular, specific. There's no one specific thing I'm telling you to do. It's go and get the confidence that you can reproduce and the knowledge of sexuality, whatever that means to you. Don't ignore this key part of your being. I think this is a very important part of a man. Women are very in touch with this. Men are not. And men tend to ignore this. If you need to sit there and give yourself a bath and touch yourself just with your fingertips, just get used to being sensual. Touch yourself. On your arms, you know what I mean? Touch your hair, your neck, very softly, or just the soft touches of your hair. And realize that is part of you. You are a sensual man. And that is very attractive for women. That has nothing to do. Being a sensual being is nothing, this is brainwashing, has nothing to do with being a woman. There's this feeling, women are sensual, men are not. That's total fucking bullshit, by the way. Men write a lot of the greatest poetry, a lot of the greatest art and music was created by men. And that's sensuality. In a lot of the great men that you see as very tough are very sensual when they're with their woman or whatever. Because that's part of a healthy guy. It's an aspect, it's a side, it's a window, it's a door. It's one strand in the DNA strand. It's part. It's embedded in you. And it's important to experience that. I will say this, it's very important. And to know that you're a sensual being. It's not like women are sensual and you're not. That's fucking total bullshit. You are very fucking sensual. And when you know that, you walk through life differently. And you'll feel differently. And it's very important. All right, guys, thanks for listening.